That's a good.
Yeah. What things happened during 1915 or a little bit before that gave you an indication that the massacres were about to happen?
Before 1915, they called all the male, all the young, to go out to work for the government. They took them all, draft them all. So, only female left in the village. And then we heard a little later on that they were killing them one by one, male. Because I was too young, I didn't go. My brother was too young too. My grandfather, both grandfathers, they took them. The other members of the family was too young to work in the field. And after a while we heard that they all killed them. Then, one day while we were sleeping, messenger came over and said to us, everybody has to move. You're going to move certain place. They didn't even know where we were moving, we moved. We took whatever we could, belonging, piled on an oxen wagon, sat on it. Early in the morning, we moved. We're going somewhere. We don't know where we're going.
Do you remember what month, what year this was?
I think this was around the springtime. Around the spring.
What year was it?
1914, 1915, somewhere around there. We went there all day. Some of us walking, some of us riding. And we joined another group, different groups at a different distance. They all were going. Nobody knew where we were going. Then when we were as far as Malatya, Turkey, we stopped there overnight. We stopped.
You went from Gamis to Malatya.
We went from Gamis to Malatya, yeah.
Between Gamis and Malatya, what things did you see happen that the Turks had done to the Armenians?
Between Gamis and Malatya, on the way, the Turk was robbing us. They messaged killing the young girls, they molesting the young girls, or they do all sorts of things to us. They were taking the goods away from us. We don't give them, they will kill you. You have to give them. But we didn't have much things left. We didn't have anything left. When we were to Malatya, we were just clothing on us. That's all we had. So, we went to Malatya. We stopped there for a while, a few days. Then they said you can't take your wagon or oxen, it's too steep of a hill. Can't go up there by that. You gotta walk up. And then, one day, while we were asleep, they come down and wake us up. Come on, come on, come on, we gotta go. We gotta go. We got us all up. We start going. Steep hill, curves, turfs all around us. They could stealing, taking away anything they could. Girls yelling, hollering, crying. What can we do? We had to go. Gendarmes all around us with the bayonet on their gun. They're pushing it. If you don't go, they kill you. You should have seen it. What a sight. Some girls, instead of going to the church, they were jumping off the cliffs. They were killing themselves, yelling, hollering. But before we got there, there was previous caravans came over they left the youngsters down there, 40 of them. They were crying so much, one of the big shot Kurds said they were making too much noise, so they buried them, 40 of them, live, they buried them. They were telling us that we're going to do the same thing to you, so we had to move whether we could or not. So we moved on. We moved on, walking. If you stay 5 feet away from the caravan, Turks grab you, Kurds grab you, grab your clothing, and then throw you somewhere, in the grass or something. So we come up the hill, and we make our first stop on top of the hill. We stay overnight.
This is in Malatya?
This is vicinity of Malatya. We passed Malatya now. We're over the hill. And we came to cross the river, big river. There's a big bridge over it. They won't let us use the bridge, either cross or go around it. We decided we'll go around the river. We stopped right near the river overnight, and then they said, the rumors came around that anybody 12 years old, male, they're going to take him away. My brother was just about 12 years old. He was scared, shivering, crying. So they took him away from us. We don't know what happened afterwards. Next morning, we started walking again. We're walking. All around us, hundreds of Kurds, looking at us, laughing at us. Try to get everything you can. One sight I never forget as long as I lived was mother having a baby on her lap. Some Kurd threw a rusted knife at her, hit her right on the chest. The baby was sucking the blood coming off of her. I never forget that sight. We were scared. We were all together. My mother, my 2 aunts, her 2 sons, and the other one had 2 sons too. 8 of us together. And my grandmother would be like a commander-in-chief. She did everything. She told us what to do. She was a smart lady. She knew how to get along with everybody. She saved us from that terror. So, next morning we started walking again. We're going towards east, towards Syrian desert. Next morning, we walk all day, we stop at night. People came to us and said, any healthy woman, we want them for a maid, work for different rich men. So my grandmother goes over to the rich man and says, I got 3 daughters, healthy daughters, grandchildren, talks to them. She finally convinced him to take us to their plantation and work for them. So a man come down, looked at him, looked at us, said, all right, I take you down. So a man took us away from the caravan, took us to his village called Jardan in Turkey. right near Eintap. We went there. Now we got some food to eat, we can eat. They got cornbread. That's what we eat, cornbread. Everybody grabs a loaf and eats it up like candy. We try to eat it, we can eat. We're so skinny, like toothpick. We could hardly walk. And then, if you dare stay in there, we gain a little strength. I used to take care of their cattle. I was about 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. I used to take the cattle to the river, water it, bring it back, clean the stable boy like. And my mother used to do housework, cleaning, working in the farm, doing different odd jobs. My aunts they were different places. They placed in different men's houses. So, we lived there about 6 months. We were lucky because our caravan went down a little further and they took them to desert, right near the Syrian desert. We just missed that. We didn't go desert. My grandmother fixed that up for us. She went over and talked it over with the third. She wasn't a literate woman, but she was pretty well self-educated lady. She was Tateos' wife. He got something of her husband, I guess, something. So we were there 6 months. After 6 months, the old lady my mother used to take care of was the chief's first wife. He had about 4 of them, I think, 4 wives. 4 wives. He said to my mother, listen, you're a nice lady, I like your people, I don't care if you're Armenian or not. I'm going to give you advice. There's a big city over here, named Eintap. When I go down, I take you down. You go over there, there's an American college over there. You go over there, get some clothing, get some help. Maybe they help you, maybe they give you clothing. I know they do that to Armenians, he said. So my mother put my mother to wives, you know. So my mother waited a few more days. She said, certain fellow's going to Eintap. He's a nice man, I trust him. I want you to go with him and see what you can do for yourself, for your children. So my mother goes to Eintap, goes to college, American college over there, goes to American college, she's the head man, tells all about us, what we are, poor, we haven't got anything, clothing, shoes. So the American college head man, I don't remember the name, he helps my mother. He gives him clothing, gives him shoes, different things. So my mother brings it back. And the headmaster of college said to my mother, if you're not comfortable over there, if they give you any trouble, all of you come down here, we give you shelter, we help you out as much as we can. So we came to the village, my mother came to the village, we stayed there for a little while. After a while, things started, my mother gained a little strength, a little beauty, things started look different at her. They want to marry her. Because my husband is in America, I can't marry you. So they start bothering her. my aunt, my mother, they all start bothering her. They want to marry them. So one night, one man says to her, we had a good friend over there, Turkish friend. There's some nice Turks among them. Some of them very conscious, very nice. They used to help us. My mother goes to him, tell him the story. Certain fellow is bothering her. He wants to marry her. But my mother said no. He won't take an answer for no. So he says, all right. Kurt said, all right. I fixed him. So one night he comes over, that fellow comes over to my mother and says, get everything ready. Make everything ready. We're going to go to Eintat. I take everybody with me during the night. Middle of the night, we got up, we went over to that fellow. He put us on a wagon. He took us to Eintat. All of us went to Eintat.
Who was with you?
My mother, my brother, I lost my, by the way, I lost my brother, big brother and two sisters on the way we were coming over. They were so hungry, so thirsty, starving, we left them on the road. So that fellow took us to Eintat. We went to Eintat, we don't know anybody, we don't know where to go. There's some Armenians in Eintat. They met us. Oh, they were glad. We were away from the Turks. We ran away from the village. They took us to some house, empty house. They helped us a lot. They gave us food. And so we lived for a little while over there. They were helping us, but during that time, still they were taking the Armenians all over, everywhere they see somebody wandering around, grab them, take them away, send them to Syrian desert. That time, my mother, there was a doctor, Turkish doctor. Turkish doctor had a daughter. My mother gets friendly with her daughter and said to her daughter, why don't you let me come work for you people? I'm cleaning house, cooking you food. I could do it, you know, my mother says to them. I can down and work with you. She was kind of friendly with my mother. So she said, what I talk to my father? She goes home, she talks to the father, says, this Armenian lady knows how to cook, knows how to clean house, everything. He's not a peasant like the others. This one is very well educated, clean. What do you say? Can we hire him for our maid or something? He said, well, this is all right, bring him down. Had two sons, I don't want the sons. He didn't want us. Just bring the lady down. My mother goes over there, talks with her, interviews her. Says, all right, come down and work. But I don't want you son. All right? My mother goes over there, me and my brother and my aunt goes somewhere else. We have to start a square ground that there's 2-3 ladies, not peasants. They're really city people. They know how to handle people, they know how to cook, they know how to take care of house. So my aunt wants some other place, the other aunt wants some other place. 3 of them were distributed different rich men's houses. So me and my brother and my grandmother still alone. There was a vacant house. People moved, went to exile. We took that house. My grandmother, my brother and my cousin, my aunt's son. He had only one son left. My aunt had two sons. She lost two sons on the way. My middle aunt had two daughters, two sons and a daughter lost on the way. They were starving. They couldn't walk anymore, so they just fade away. So we went there for a while. My mother got tired of working for the Turk. My mother said things were getting a little better. Officers signing, things get easing up. I remember an incident. The girl, that big shot girl, was fighting with my mother. One day I went over there to see my mother. She loaded me up with bread. I could hardly carry a whole bunch of bread. I'd go home to eat. She was a wonderful girl. And then I grew older, I get a little stronger. My grandmother said to me, I'm going to find you a job. So she goes down to different grocery stores, tells the man, I got a grandson capable of doing things, healthy. What do you say, give him a job? One man says to him, all right, bring him over, I give him a job. So my grandmother took me over, introduced me to the man. I went over there, working in the store. He had a lot of fruits, figs, watermelon, grapes, all kinds of things. So I worked there for quite a while. He had a son, teacher. That son was going to start and molest me. I told my grandmother he's doing dirty things to me. My grandmother said, the hell with him, he pulled me away from it. My aunt used to work in another place, had a big vineyard. The man had a huge place of vineyard. Grapes. He says to my aunt, why don't you bring your sister's son to take grape from the vineyard to the city, from back and forth, you know. All right, so my aunt told me to come down and work with him. I went there. They gave me a mule and two big baskets on each side of the mule. I used to take the mule to the vineyard. They load up the grapes in the basket. I take them to the city. I was about 10, 11 years old. 10 years old, I think I was. 10 years old. Nobody bothered me because he was a very well-known man. His name was written right on the mule. If they saw I'm coming over, they move away. They give me the way because he was a big man. So I worked for a while. Then I got tired of it. I quit. Then my grandmother found another place. This time, postmaster. He was a Turkish postmaster. He had one wife and two daughters. I used to live with him. I used to sleep in the same room with the girls. And every Friday, I used to go take spots with them. Carry their clothing. I used to carry their clothing. They had a little baby brother too. I used to carry the brother on my arm, carry their clothing to the bathhouse. From bathhouse, dirty clothes, I used to bring it to house. So I used to go to bathhouse with them. I didn't know anything about it. They used to give me baths just like their own son. So I worked there for a while. I had a good time. Things was eased around a little bit. They wasn't so vulgar as they were before. And I quit there too. I got tired, I quit. Then I went somewhere else. I went back to my aunt's place, first aunt's place again. He said, I'm going to adopt you to my son. He had 2 girls, but no boys. 2 girls. I went there again. I'm working. I'm taking care of the vineyard this time. I'm not carrying bread. Oh, miles and miles you could see grapes. They had a big, like a scarecrow on top of the post. I used to get up top of the post, sit on it. If I see anybody coming in the vineyard picking grapes or stealing anything, I used to yell, oh, top of my lungs. Yell, just yell. That's what he told me to do. But nobody came, I didn't have to yell anyway. And at night, he used to bring girls, dancing girls. Syrian harem dancing girls. Music, dancing girls. We used to sit down and clap to the girl dance. Every night in the week. Every night in the week, there used to be dancing girls. I used to watch them dance. I had a good time there. I enjoyed that for a while. But after a while, my boss, my Aga, I don't know what happened, they took him to the army. They took him to the army. When they took him to the army, well, I didn't have a job. I came back to my mother. I came back. My mother got sick of working for somebody else. My mother knew how to make cloth, weaving cloth, weaver. Little bit, she knew little bit from all country, she was. So, this man was looking for a lady who could weave cloth. He was a merchant, cloth merchant. My mother said, I know how to weave cloth. You do, yeah. So, all right, said, I get you a house, I get you the room, see what you can do. He got us a house, he got us a room. My mother quit being a maid anymore, come down. So, she was weaving clothes. She didn't know too much about it. She practiced night, day, all the time she practiced. She perfected. She used to weave cloth better than any man there was in High-Tech. She used to make good money too. So we stayed there for 4 years, I think it was. 3 or 4 years. My mother made good money. My aunt was still there. And thirsty by us after a while, because things was getting easing up all the time. So, one day, in the army, there was a one man yelling. He's dying. He's so sick he's dying. He was in the Turkish army. My grandmother said, what's the matter with him? They took Armenian church. They filled up with Turkish soldiers. And our house was right next to Armenian church. We used to hear him yell, talk, holler, singing. We used to hear him all the time because we were living right next to it. This man was yelling all the time, day and night. My grandmother was over there telling what's the matter with this man? What's wrong with him? I don't know, he's sick. He's very sick. My grandmother said, I take him in my house, I cure him, I feed him, he'll be all right, let me have it. So he takes the man. He brings it over. My mother gets mad at him, but what can you do? After a while, we find out he was an Armenian. He was an Armenian. My grandmother cured him. He got well. Started talking. One day, we were sitting down, we were talking. He says, you know, he says, you know, he says, I know a man in Istanbul. My God, he says, look, just like you, just like you. What's his name? His name was Kirko Tanelia. Oh, my grandmother was crazy. That's my son, he said. That's my son. My son. Long time ago, he, from Gamis, he went to Istanbul, he established a business, he hid away during the war, he didn't go in the army, Christian couldn't get him. After a while, when the things eased up, he was doing his business again. So this man told all about my uncle, my mother's brother. He was in Istanbul. He says, I know the address, so we wrote him a letter. We wrote him a letter. He answered us, told him we were his sister's mother, this and that. We sent our picture down. He sent his picture. We were very happy to find him. And my two aunts was working in the same place. They liked the place. They didn't change at all. But my mother still making cloth, weaving. After a while, we saw another man in Aintel, Armenian man. Who are you people? We told him, this is Tateos Charles's wife, this is the Tateos grandchildren. Oh, he said, he was a big man once. I know, I read all about him. I know, I'm very familiar with him. Says, he helped Armenian himself, we gotta help you. So, he says, we're gonna move you from Antep to Harat, then to Istanbul. All right, we were happy to hear that. So, they gave us a horse. He went to the government. I don't know, he had some connection to it, some connection or something. We didn't know anything about it. He went to the governor. Governor gave him a wagon, horse. They loaded up all our belongings. We went to Belgium, next town from Antep, Belgium. We went there, we saw another man, friend of my grandfather, my grandfather Tateos. You won't let us go. He says, you gotta stay here for a while. We gotta treat you good. We take care of you. We take care of you. We stay better a few weeks. We live like a king and queen because we were Tateos Charles's family. From Antep, they gave us a wagon, 2 horses, and a gentleman to take care of us on the way, to protect us from any other violence or any other hoodlum. We went there and stayed there for a while. Then we went to Halat. From Beladik, we went to Halat.
Who was with you?
We were, my two aunts, grandmother, and my aunt, son, and two brothers, well, myself, my brother and myself. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. My mother, her two sisters, my grandmother, and my brother, my cousin. So we went Halat. We went Halat. All the Armenians was in the armory, Turkish armory. They were all together. They living, sleeping in the Turkish army quarters. We went there. They said, we met another man from Constantinople. He knew my uncle. He knew all about my Tanner Chow's grandfather. He said, stay on Halat for a while. We got to send the boys to orphanage. Let them learn how to read and write. We never seen schooling before. We never went to school. So, this man took us, gave us a good quarters in the armory. We stayed there. We were getting our 3 meals a day. So, they placed us in orphanage in Halat. We stayed there a few months, I think. I don't know how long. A few months.
Do you remember the name of the orphanage?
Orphanage. Near East, I think it was. I don't exactly know. I don't know the man's name. I don't remember the name of the orphanage. We were over there. Around by Near East anyway. We stayed there for a while. We went to school in orphanage. We learned a little bit Armenian alphabet, little kindergarten stuff, reading, writing.
Did you know Armenian before then?
Oh yeah, we know Armenian. We know Turkish. Yeah, we know Turkish. I was speak Turkish. But we know Armenian. We never forget Armenian. But our Armenian was colloquial, all different than regular Armenian. We spoke different. And our Antep Turkish is altogether different than Istanbul Turkish. Afterwards, in one day, things, everybody was going to have a physical examination in orphanage. They lined us up, going to have physical examination. They lined us up, I was in the line, doctors examining everybody. He came to me, he looked at my hand, this boy got leprosy. He said to me, what the hell are you talking about leprosy? What's that? Some kind of sickness. I got so damn scared, I ran from orphanage all the way to armory, tell my mother. I said, I'm not going to that orphanage again. They're going to do this to me. They're going to do that to me. I got scared. My cousin, same way. He said, to my sister, I can't take it anymore. I gotta be free. I don't want it. My brother's the only one who liked it. Well, I didn't like it. I wouldn't go back anymore. We had a friend doctor over there in Armory. He was son of my uncle in Istanbul. He came down here, he examined me. He says, you got no leprosy. That doctor was crazy. I said, if I go back, they're going to put me in isolation. They're going to do this to me, do that to me. I won't go back. I won't go back. After a while, the doctor, friend of ours, got us tickets to go to Istanbul on railroad. So, we were getting ready to go to Istanbul.
What year was this?
1919, I think it was. 1919, 1918, 1919, 1920, somewhere around there. They gave us the free tickets. I don't know who paid for it. We got in a cattle car. We loaded up all our belongings, everything we had. Again, my two aunts, my mother, my grandmother, my cousin, my brother, myself. We jumped in the freight train. Let's go. On the way to Istanbul. We went to Istanbul. We went to Eskişehir, city named Eskişehir, called Eskişehir. My grandfather's brother was living there, we didn't even know. He was the headmaster of German railroad in Eskişehir. We went there, we went to the railroad station, train stops, everybody coming working. My grandfather was looking to see if he could see anybody or recognize anybody. Grandfather's brother, my grandfather's brother was there, established there. He was headmaster of railroad. He came to the station, he was looking around to see if he could see anybody from his old country or something like that, you know. And all of a sudden, he noticed my grandmother. My grandmother. Hey, Hondo, what are you doing here? Where's everybody? He says, Oskan's wife is here. That's my father's name, Oskan. Oskan's wife, Feruzik, is here. Where is she? Where is it? He comes over. He finds us. And he says, oh, you can't go to Istanbul. You belong to me. You come off my house. So he takes us away. He moves us from the freight car to his house. Just my brother, my mother, and myself, three of us. So you belong to my family. You're my brother's daughter-in-law. Come on. You belong to me. Take us to his house. He had two sons, one daughter. My cousin, two sons, one daughter. His wife, himself, living in a beautiful house. Turks invited him because he was a railroad man and working for a German company. We went there.
Do you remember his name?
You don't know.
Okay, continue on. Maybe you'll think of it later.
I don't remember his name right now, but so we lived there. We had a good time over there for quite a while. Then trouble started. His sons said, "Oh, they're pretty loaded. We can't have them live on us all the time. His father is in America. Let him send us some money so they could live." They were arguing with one another. My grandfather's brother was protecting us, but his son, kind of odd people, they didn't like us, they didn't want us. So they were arguing in the next room. My mother heard about it. My mother said, "I'm not going to stay here anymore." Tell my grandfather's brother that he wants to go see his brother. Can't stay there anymore. So finally convinced him. We load our furniture on the railroad car again. Bag and baggage. We went to Istanbul. We met my uncle. My uncle rented a house for my two aunts and their son, my grandmother. They were living all together. We went there too. So, when we started to go to school in Istanbul, Armenian school,
What school was it?
Sulhaj, Holy Cross School. It's a monastery now, Holy Cross Monastery now. Went there, we went to church. But the Armenian we know, the Armenian they talk over there, altogether different. They don't understand us, we don't understand them. We had a heck of a time. We had a tough time to learning their language. We couldn't do anything in the school. There weren't very many capable teachers in the school. They don't care whether you learn or not. We had a heck of a time. So my uncle hired a private tutor, tutoring us in the house. Then we learned a little Armenian, a little bit reading, writing. We did pretty good for a while. That time, my uncle had a big business in Boris. Electrician he was, electrical shop. He writes to America, to my father, why don't you come over here? We extend our business. What is it going on? America?
No, he wrote to your father, said, why don't you come?
So, my father from America, he comes over. He comes over, looked the situation over. He wasn't a very literate man, but he had quite a bit of experience. And he was a pretty smart man. He says to my uncle, I know you got a big business, I know you're making money, but I don't like the political situation here. It's the same damn thing, same damn Turks. I'm not going to stay here. Staying after 6 months, my father said, no, I'm going to go back to America. So, by the way, my uncle, my aunt's husband was in America too. Married a Tateos. He was in America. He came to America with my father, 1913. So he was there. So he wants his wife and his son to America. And then my father got our visa. My brother and I, my mother, my father, my aunt and her son, we all came to America. Took the boat, we came to Tateos, Greece. We stayed in Greece for a few days, then from Greece we sailed to New York. What a sight, what a stone, what a tough journey that was. It took us a long time. Stormy, seasick, can't eat the food, too much fish, we don't like fish. Oh, had a miserable time all the way. So, about 3-4 days before America, we saw Statue of Liberty. We came into America. So, I think it was 2 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that, we came landing in Ellis Island. I'm not forgetting, but I think it was Christmas, just about Christmas time, we went Ellis Island, then we couldn't get out. Because nobody was working in Ellis Island until first of the year. We had to stay on a boat for 1 week, from Christmas to first of the year. So, Tateos was living in the orchard right near Springfield. They were working in a foundry there. But my father, when he left America before he was coming over the borders, they took him, I don't know, it was $100 or $60 tax. If they told him, if you come back in a certain time, we'll return you that money. So my father said, I'm not going right over to Indian Orchard. I'm going to stay here, collect that money, and then come to Indian Orchard. Ellis Island. Ellis Island, just like that, I see cattle, slaughterhouse, just like that. Everybody line up, all different nationalities, all different outfits, clothing, some fancy, some raggy. Oh, what a sight to see. You line up, aisles, 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 aisles. You go someplace, they put a chalk mark on you. Blue chalk mark, white chalk mark, all kinds of marks they put on you. Blue means okay, white means no bueno. Everybody, some crying, some happy, some gotta go back, some do this, some do that. So my father knew that. He was experienced, he'd been there before, so he told us what to do. So we went to Ellis Island. Everybody nice to us. We didn't know a word of English. We come outside New York. We went to hotel. They had a gas light. My father told us, don't you ever blow this gas light. Gas light, you're supposed to turn this. If you do, you die. It's poison. Tell us all about it. The biggest kick I got was flushing toilet. I used to go to the toilet every minute to see the flushing. Biggest kick I got. So,
Before we go on any further, when you were in Holland, for the time from Holland to Boris, did you hear of any of the word of any of the Armenian massacres? Did you hear what was going on in other parts of the country?
oh yes.
How did you find out about it and what did you
We
do?
find out that they went to desert, some of them went to desert. They were making them do a lot of strenuous things, like making them soldiers, young kids, women, children, marching along, playing games with them. They were killing them left and right. They were torturing them very bad. We were very fortunate we didn't go desert. No water, no food. People are dropping, dying like popcorn. They were very bad. We were very fortunate we didn't go. That was my grandmother's ingenuity. She got fixed up with that rich man, and we deviated from the group, and we went to Antep. Then after a while, we met some of the survivors from that group. They were telling us what went on. It was very bad. It was very bad. But some of the stories, I don't know, some of them I don't remember, but very tragic stories. Very tragic. One desert we went, I remember, whirling tornado used to be around. The sand, wind picks up the sand miles and miles up in the air and reaches right through all over the place. If you can't help if you get caught on that. Syrian desert that was. We went to Syrian desert.
About how many people started with you? And how many
Oh, from my village, we were about 200, I say, or more. For my family, we were 20 in the family, only three of us survived.
What about the rest of the village?
Rest of the village, only, let's see, about a dozen or so survived out of 200. Dozen or so survived.
Did you hear anything about the independent country of Armenia in 1918?
Tasha?
Well, the independent Armenia
Yeah,
in 1918.
we didn't hear it until we came to Boris.
Did you ever think of going?
No.
Why not?
They were saying to us they're in war with Turks. My father said, oh, I was too young to make any decision anyway. But my father said, anything to do with the Turks, I don't want it. My mother said the same thing. Anything to do with Turks, I don't want it. I don't care what it is. Even a gold building or gold of anything, I don't want it. Anything to do with the Turks. We've seen so much of it. We got sick of it. They did so bad things to us, we never can forget.
The Near East really helped you out. Were there any
Yeah,
other
Needle City, we were offered Needle City, and college. American college, Needle City, they were Needle City. Ninth that they helped us out a lot.
Do you remember any of the names of people that you can remember, teachers or the doctors or people that helped out?
I don't remember. There was one man, had man in the college, I don't know what, Dr. Wilson, I don't know. I don't remember the name. He helped us out. Yeah.
Any other people that helped?
Oh yeah. Rather than Near East really, when we came to Harab Armory, they gave us blanket, they gave us bed, they gave us everything.
How many people will live in the armory?
Oh, about 400 or 500.
From all over different parts?
All over different parts of the country, yeah. 400 or 500. Everybody had a little section, blankets, sleeping quarters, that's all.
What about food?
Oh, they supply us the food. We used to line up and get our food 3 times a day. We didn't stay too long in Armory, we went to orphanage. Our years, boys, we were 3 boys, we went to orphanage. We stayed in orphanage for a while until that incident happened that I got the leprosy.
Do you remember any of the people in the orphanage?
No, I don't.
Any friends that you had there?
I don't think there was anybody from our village in the army. I don't remember seeing anybody there from our village or from Sebastian. I didn't see anybody there.
Were they all Armenians in the
They
orphanage?
were all Armenians in Armenia, yeah. They were all Armenians. Massacred. They're from different parts of different Turkey. They were there.
There were no Greeks?
No. No Greeks, no other nationality. Just the Armenians.
Were the teachers Armenian in the orphanage?
Often the teachers were Armenian, yeah.
Where did they
The
come?
only thing we had a guard all around the orphanage, Indian soldiers, Hindus, Hindu guards we had in the orphanage because every once in a while Turks or the Muslim Arabs used to raid the orphanage, kill or do different things to the orphanage. That's why English government has his soldiers guard around the building.
Was it just boys or was it mixed?
Huh?
Was it just boys or was it mixed?
Our part was boys, girls building was a little ways away from us. Girls orphanage was a little away from us.
How many were there all together in the orphanage? How many people?
Oh, several hundred, I don't know exactly how many hundreds, but quite a few. They were all Armenians, run by Near East, I think. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you remember up to this point? As far as the massacres, things that happened to you or that you saw?
A lot of things happened. I don't quite remember right now. A lot of things happened. What?
Anything else on the road that you saw? Any other stories that you remember, incidents that you remember?
I remember one time we were sleeping on the ground during the exile. One of my little sisters yelled out, "Cookie, cookie, cookie." She must have dreamed or something like that. She was dreaming cookies. That broke our heart. We couldn't help crying. Hungry, thirsty, more thirsty than hungry. We used to cheat the thirst too, you know. We weren't dumbbells altogether. They used to come out and sell watermelon or different things. You know, the little shiny coins like tin or cheap metal or something like that, look shiny. The ladies used to wear around their head. Some had a lot of those. Some woman, some Armenian woman had a lot of those. So we used to tell them they were so much 2 watermelon or 5 watermelon or this and that. We used to give them, take their watermelon away. So we had a lot of watermelon feast on the way. So some people come down there for sell bread. They were selling bread. They think they were having a good bargain. We give anything. They would give a cloth or handkerchief or this, who tell us there was silk. They didn't know what it was. Silk, take 3 bread, 2 loaves of bread, or this and that. Or sometimes ladies come down there and try to sell us, if you think we strangle them. Some bunch of women or kids get together, strangle them, and take the things away from them, push them away, move away somewhere else. They don't know who did it. They go find out, or we have bread that way. Oh, incidents like that always happen. Always did. Kids very dumb, backward, afraid. They got no initiative. You go whoop like that to them, they jump off a mile. They're not intelligent. They don't know what's what. If you give a needle, they don't know what's a needle. You show them what to do with it. Oh, they go. So you say, how much? 2 loaves of bread, or this or that. We didn't have too much to give anyway, but whatever we had, we used to sell them very dear. A very bad time we had was over Malaga, climbing that cliff hill, over the hill, and on that thing. That was the toughest place of all. There was men with knives, guns, everything. If you just step 1 step from the caravan, they shoot you, they rob you, they take your clothes away, they do anything they could. So if you stay together. I remember one girl, they tried to rob him. She had a frying pan, she banged the man on the head, cracked him open his head, and everybody scared ran away. Nobody bothered that caravan anymore. They told him there's a jig or voodoo or something like that. Superstitious, very superstitious. Voodoo. They believe in that. So they never bothered that caravan again. Some were like that, some were heroes. They get even with them. One time my aunt was telling me that she was sleeping during the night. She heard noise around the room. So she wakes up, she takes a broom or some wood or something, makes it look like a gun. You get the hang out of there or I shoot with a wood, piece of wood. You get out of there or I shoot in the dark, of course, you don't know. She bang like that on the top. She goes like that, show to him, he's got a gun. The man, scared to death, he was going out, he fell out the window and killed himself. Yeah, they were ignorant people. Very ignorant. They claim if you don't kill two Armenians, two Christians, you won't go to heaven. At least you gotta kill two Christians to go to heaven. That's their belief. That's what they taught. Their morals, their priests, what they call them, their head clergymen, they teach them like that. You gotta kill a Christian to go to heaven. That's what they do. Men themselves, they are not violent, they're ordinary men, ordinary people. Ordinary, that's all. But they're head men, they're clergymen, they're big shots. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. They believe they're clergy. Whatever they said, they do it. So that's why they go that way.
Did you have any weapons at all with you, knives or anything on the way?
Nah, I was too young to have anything like that. I was only a little kid.
Did anybody?
Yeah, some ladies had some weapons, knives, not guns, knives. Before we moved from the village, they came down and they searched everybody, houses, inch to inch, if there were any weapons, any knives, anything like that. They took them all away first, before we moved from the village. Before they took the men away, they took the knives, guns. Anybody find it with a gun, a little pistol, or even a water pistol, they used to kill right on sight. So they didn't have anything like that. But some women had knives hidden somewhere, knife or make-believe knife or wooden knife. You take a wooden knife, shine it to a crib, you won't come to it anymore. You're afraid. Desperate people do anything.
Do you remember anything else in the village before you were taken out, forced out?
In the village?
Yeah. When the massacre started?
When the massacre started, yeah. They said to my mother, if you turn Turk, if you say you're willing to accept the Muslim religion, they won't send you to exile. But my mother, my grandmother said, no, we won't do that. We'd rather go exile than change our religion. Some people did. I had a cousin, old lady with 2 daughters. She changed her religion. She turned Muslim. She stayed in the village. She stayed in the village, but after a while, they said, you're Muslim. You gotta marry a Muslim man. She married a Muslim man. After the war, left the husband and everything, came to Istanbul. We met him there then. We had cousins. He was engineer, paying the Solgolo, his name was. He didn't move at all. They didn't bother him at all because he was an engineer. He used to build bridges, different things like that. They didn't bother him. He stayed in the village. They didn't move. They didn't bother him. Then after the war, we met him. I think his son is graduated from some university in America. He lives in America. He's a citizen. his son Benjamin. Solo, they call him.
Anything else that you remember in the village? When the massacre started, before you left?
When massacre started. One incident I remember, before they took the man away, there was about 15 men in age of 25 to 30. They escaped to the mountains. They didn't go to the army, they didn't go with it. They escaped to the mountain. And I think they survived all the war, during the war. They killed so many Turks, wherever they find a Turk, they kill them. Just like the Turks did to Armenians. These fellows were all, I don't know what you call them, outlaws against the Turks. I won't call them outlaws, revenge hunters or something like that.
Revolutionaries?
Revolution, no, I won't call them revolutionary, but they got that freedom anyway. They were out and open. They had, when they escaped, they got caught one day, this man, they put him in prison. There's 3 men from my village. They put him in prison. And on the prison wall they read, nobody survives from here on. You die next morning. All kinds of different writings on the wall. So these 3 men got together. They said, we can't stay here, we gotta run out. Just before the exile, they took all the men, took them to jail. So this man, his name is Krigor, he's the head of the gang, I suppose. It's called the guard over. Hey, come here a minute, I want to tell you something. God comes over and says, come here, I want to whisper something to your ear. God took it out to extend his head through the hole. He gets him, he chokes him, he steals his gun. He steals his gun, and he opened the door. Come on out, boys, let's go. Everybody afraid to come out. So there's 3 men from our village escape out, and then they met a few others, altogether was 7 of them. 1 gun, 7 men, 1 gun. They escaped to the mountain. They roam around the mountain. Like a Robin Hood. They robbed this, helped the Armenians, dropped that, helped the Armenians. They killed. So one day they were going to flour mill. You know, where they grind flour. There's a bunch of Turkish WOR, or the WOR, were they? They were away from war? AWOL, yeah. AWOL. Bunch of them. They were Turks. 7 guys goes over, we Turks, come on, we AWOL too. The hell with the army, this and that. They were talking. One of the men had a big gun. He had a gun. He's the only man that had a gun in a bunch. He had a bunch. He got kind of suspicious. He says, he's a big husky man, he says. Tried to get uneasy. He went this way, he went that way. Whatever they did, all men followed them. All of a sudden, they rushed on him. They took his gun. They killed all the Turks over there. They had two guns now. They went out hunting, revenge, man to man. They killed so many Armenians, they killed so many Turks. So all during the war, they went all over, massacred villages, killing Turks, helping Armenians, all over. They survived. They survived. Every one of them survived. And one of them is in America now. He had a watermelon business. He was a prosperous businessman. He died a few years ago.
Remember his name?
His name Krikov. Krikov. What the hell is that thing? Krikov, Tateos. Krikov Tateos. His name is. He lives in, he was in America. He came to America. Was a very nice, quiet old man. That's before we started. Now where we are now? In America?
Do you remember anything else before we get there? Anything else in the village or on the road that happened during the massacres?
I don't remember anything else too vividly now. I don't know. Shut up, old man.
What?
Shut up?
Yeah.
Remember when your aunt says that when she left her daughters on the way and they went back to see if she was alive and the vultures were picking her eyes out, the vultures were eating her.
Alright, so,
You want anything like that?
yeah, anything like that.
Sure, say, when your aunt left her children, then they had a chance to retract and come back.
Alright?
Yeah.
And then she found the vultures.
One incident my aunt had, she left her diary because she was too weak and she couldn't walk anymore. She left it on the road. We stopped for a while, the whole caravan stopped for a while. And we had some bread. We got some bread from somewhere, I don't know exactly where we got it, but we got some bread. My aunt said, I think I'll go look for my daughter and bring him over and feed him a little bit. A few ladies went back to find out the daughter. When they went down there, they saw vultures picking on her. She got so crazy, she come back crying. Things like that happen all over the place. On the way, we're walking, bodies here, bodies there, smell. You see bodies blown up in the sun. Oh, sickening, sickening. You get sick just looking at it. Poison.
What?
Tell her about the part how they had to dress Tommy and your brother in Bill's clothes so that they
I
would...
just told her, didn't I?
No, you said something about how
Oh, he
they took
died.
him because he was 12 years old. But how big
I
his
told
wisdom,
him
and when
that
the kid
before.
had the diarrhea.
I told her.
They do before? They used to, oh.
What
In
else?
the question.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Any other stories? Any other things that you saw?
In ITAP, I used to spin. I was about 9-10 years old. I used to spin. They had a machine work by foot. You pedal with your foot, and the bobbin turns on. You hold the wheel in your hand, and you make thread, spinning. I used to do that all day. Make money. My mother used to make the cloth, spinning. I used to spin that all day. Gee, I could imagine that 9 years old kid doing that all day to make a living. That's all I remember of that sad stories. Quite a few more, but I don't remember now anymore. So, you asked the question.
I'm gonna ask you, you're on tape. When you were in ITEP or in the orphanage, did you hear about independent Armenia?
Yeah.
Did you ever think of going there?
I was too young to decide anything about it. I don't know. My father didn't care for us to go over there.
Why?
Living condition was bad over there, just as bad as anywhere else, so we decided to come to America.
Did you have any impressions of America before you came?
No, I didn't know nothing about America.
Did you hear
My
anything?
father was here before, you know.
Did he tell you anything about it?
Well, he used to tell us stories here and there, but I didn't know anything about America.
Did you have any idea what it was like in your mind?
No, I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't have any ideas, or I didn't visualize anything. I couldn't do it.
You came to America, to Ellis Island. You went through Ellis Island.
We get out New York. When my father left America to come to take us, they took $60 away from him. They said, if you come back in a certain time, we return that money. That's why we had to get out of New York to inquire about that money. I think he got that money afterwards. Then from New York, we stayed about 2-3 days. From there, we went to Indian Orchard, Mass, right near Springfield.
Do you remember what the house address was in Indian Orchard?
3-tenement house. We were on the top floor. No. We were living, 2 families were living together, my aunt and my family. We were living together. Couldn't afford a higher tenement, I guess. That's why we lived together for quite a while. Then my father got a job in Fibroid Corporation, plastic factory. Then we started to make a little money. My father getting paid, self-supporting, so we moved in a 3-tenement house, a 3rd floor. And we start going to school, Myrtle Street Junior High School.
How old were you?
I was 10, 11. 11 years old then, I think. So I went there.
Did you know English when you started school?
I know just a few words, that's all. But I know how to read a little bit because I studied English in Istanbul. We went to Armenian school. At the same time we studied English a little bit. So I know how to read a little bit. So I went in a special class over there for a little while. Then as soon as I started to read and write, I know arithmetic, I know science a little bit, just as much as American boys my age. So I stayed in a special class for a little while. Then they put me in 4th grade. 4th grade, I had a hard time. Kid used to make fun of us, telling us different things. But we struggled, we learned. Then I graduated junior high school 1925. 1925 I graduated from high school. Then after that, I went to Springfield Technical High School for 4 years. We used to travel back and forth on a trolley. Take the trolley car to school. My father's salary wasn't enough to support the family, so I had to work after school. I was working after school in an Oriental Rock shop. I worked and studied for 4 years. Then I graduated high school in 1948.
48?
1928. I'm sorry. No, 28. 19. What does it say on the pillow? On that pillow.
1928.
1928 is the right number. Graduated high school 1928. Then my folks told me to go to college. So I like to go to college, but we couldn't do too much. Finally, I signed up Northeastern University. I went there for 1 year. Thing was tough. I want to study science. Before that, after I graduated high school, I liked science very much. I had a job in Chapman Manufacturing Company laboratory analyzing metals. I stayed there about 2 years analyzing metals. I kind of liked science, chemistry. So I signed up Northeastern University. After a year, couldn't do it, too much money. So there was another school. What's the name of it? Technical school. What was the name of the school? I forgot.
In Boston?
Yeah, in Boston. Franklin Technical Institution. Franklin Technical Institution. I went there 2 years. I graduated from 2 years there. The time I graduated, the thing was so tough I couldn't get a job on my line. So I had to get anything. I worked here and there, all tough times. Very, very tough times.
What was the most difficult thing for you
What?
during this time?
Getting a job. Difficult getting a job. There was no jobs available all around.
During this time, did you try to stay Armenian, or did you want to become more American than Armenian and forget your Armenian heritage?
I didn't forget my Armenian heritage. In fact, my father hired an Armenian teacher to tutor us Armenian language for 4.5 years. We knew Armenian. Me and my brother, my cousin, studied Armenian pretty well. We knew Armenian. He wanted us not to forget the Armenian language, so he hired a tutor. He taught us Armenian. We knew Armenian quite well. But after a while, I didn't even speak Armenian in the house. Speak English, because I want to learn more about American way of living. So, even after I got married, I didn't speak Armenian to my kids. Sometimes I did, sometimes I did, most of the time I didn't. So, that's the story of my life.
Did you go to any other school after Franklin?
No, I didn't learn how to speak.
Was there anyone near the Franklin or Northeastern or on the Springfield Tech that helped you?
Oh yeah, when I went to Northeastern University, my first teacher when I came to America, I met her there. She helped me quite a bit. She helped me.
Do you remember her name?
Miss Pendergast. Her name was Miss Pendergast. She was a very nice lady. She helped me quite a bit. Question?
You got married in 1947.
Yeah,
Had 2 sons.
yeah. 1947, I had 2 sons.
Did you? You didn't teach them Armenian.
My first one, we talked to Armenian, he knew Armenian, he learned Armenian, but second one, I don't know, we neglected kind of. We didn't talk to him too much, so he didn't learn too much.
You still have strong ties with the Armenian people in the Armenian church.
Oh yes, I have very strong ties with Armenian people, Armenian church. I get magazines from all country, from H magazine, and I read them all the time.
What do you do now as far as your association with Armenian organizations? How do you keep involved?
Only association I belong is the church. I go to church every Sunday. I go to their functions. I have as much as I can. So I don't belong in an organization. Never did, never will.
What do you feel about the political organization, Armenian political organizations?
I don't believe any one of them.
Why not?
Because they have nothing to do in this country, any political organization. What can they do? What goal they got to achieve? Nothing. So I never belong to them. I don't think I ever will. Just church is enough for me.
Let me ask you, just to go back a bit, the different places that you work. Can you remember all the places that you worked?
No, I don't remember right now.
From this job back, the job that you have now back.
I work all kind of places. I even had a bleaching water business of my own. Bleaching water, chlorinated chlorine, bleaching water business of my own. I did that for a little while, it didn't go through. Then I had some kind of a metallurgical company on my own. That one's very good. Then I didn't have a lot of money to expend, so I sold all my equipment to the place where I'm working now. He hired me, bought my equipment, and ever since then I'm there yet.
Did you work in a plastics company once?
Plastic company. Oh, during the war, business was slow, couldn't get any metal, tin, lead, couldn't get anything. So at night, I got a job at the plastic company in Waltham.
Remember the name of it?
Some lake, I don't remember the name. So help me out. And then, last day I quit, the factory blew up. So many people got killed, hurt. I was fortunate enough to quit day before.
Did you have any hopes for your children that you wanted them to be certain things? Did you encourage them to go into certain fields?
Oh yes, I had much hope for my children. I wanted to go to college, get a good education, learn a good trade. But I don't know. They didn't go to, my biggest one didn't go to college. He didn't get his education I wanted to get. I was willing to sacrifice everything I had. Then afterwards he wants to be clergyman. You follow that up.
What about your other son?
The other son he was always like the cook. You go to school cafeteria after school. You always like culinary. So he said he wants to be a chef. All right, you want to be a chef? So he went to Culinary Institute of America. He graduated from there. He's got his own business now. He's doing pretty good.
They both marry Armenians?
They both married Armenians. Oldest one got one son and one daughter. The young one is only married 1 year yet.
Do you have a close relation with your children?
Oh yes. They live nearby. Every day practically we're together. Weekends, every day, holidays, always close relation with them.
Do you speak Armenian with your grandchildren?
Once in a while I do. They learn more than I expect to. They speak pretty good Armenian.
Recently in this area, there have been many people coming from Beirut because of the war over there. The Armenian people.
Yeah.
How do you view these people? How do you feel about these people that are coming over?
Well, at times over there, they want a little freedom themselves, I suppose. Only place to get that is America, so they come to America. What are you going to do?
Do you feel that they're different from the people, the Armenians that are here now, and the Armenians that came over 40 years ago?
Oh, they're altogether different.
Oh.
They come with money first. Secondly, they think they know more than we do over here. They think American people are ignorant. They're taking advantage of our good nature. They're buying different things. They're buying businesses. They're progressing very good. They're progressing very good. They're doing much better than we ever did when we came over.
Who are the Armenians that you admire most in our history?
Armenian, what do you mean?
That you admire the most in our history? In the
Oh.
Armenian history?
Antranik Pasha, the hero I admire the most. He's the man who saved all our Armenian people. What we owe the Armenian we got today is all his efforts. Antranik Pasha is the one.
Anyone else?
And well, of course we have many writers, scientists, and doctors, lawyers, but he's the only one I think I think of right now.
In order for one to be a good Armenian, what must he do? How does one be a good Armenian?
In order to be one good Armenian, the first thing you have to do to be good American. If you're a good American, you could be a good Armenian. Go to church, help as much as you can to keep up your heritage, your language, what else you could do.
Should the Armenians remember April 24th?
I don't know. I don't want to remember it. I know that much, but of course, in history always reminds us what happened past. That's history. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to hear about it April 24th because every time I hear, I read about it, I get goosebumps. So I don't like to hear too much about it. Of course, people are born here, or they didn't see it, they want to hear about it, so they get enthusiasm to something. I don't know what it does to them, but I know I don't want to hear about it. But it shouldn't be raised from the books, the history books. It should be in history books for our future generations to come.
What do you feel about the different demonstration and marches that they have sometimes about April 24th?
Well,
Does it do any good?
might do a little good, not too much. I don't think it does too much good. Of course, Turkey don't care what you do, demonstrate or what. It just arouses the interest of Armenian people or whatnot, I don't know. I don't think he did too much good. There's more harm than good, too, if you ask me, because Turks get wild about it. They massacre some more Armenians. They kill some more Armenians. What good it's going to do to us, I don't know.
If Turkey gave back our land, would you go there to live?
No. I won't go back to live any other part of the world but America. First, I was exiled. I was an infant. I barely knew my own language, Armenian. Then I was exiled to Antep. I had to learn Turkish over there. Their Turkish is different. Their dialect is different. I had to learn another language. Then we came to Constantinople. When we came over there, my Armenian, my Turkish was altogether different. They spoke over there. So I had to start all over again, learn their way of speaking. Then I just got a little accustomed to it. Then I came to America, started to learn English. Altogether different language. By golly, I had enough. I don't want to move anywhere else and learn anything else. No, I don't want to go nowhere but America. I like America.
Do you think that there will be Armenians 50 years from now in the United States?
Oh yeah, I think maybe Armenians 50, 75 years from now, so young, they carry it. As long as they got that church, it might be mixed with English to it, but it will be just be Armenian, just the same. Uleko, I mean, it was like the DPs coming over there, they revived the Armenian language. That's what they do, speak Armenian, outside, inside, all over. Oh yeah, the Armenian.
Do you think there will ever be unity of the Armenian people?
Oh yeah, there'll be unity for some time. This is not news. This has happened before, will happen again. That's Armenian nature. They divide, they unite. That's the way Armenians work together. Every unity. Every unity. Take the big man to do it, that's all.
Have you ever told this story to your children or grandchildren, your life story?
No, I haven't told anybody my life story because sad. No fun to hear a sad story. I want my children to be happy, not killing, massacre. No, I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want to say anything. The first time I'm telling this story of my life.
Is there anything there's one more question I want to ask before that. Is there any other incidents that you remember, either in Gandhi's before the massacres or during the massacres on the road on the deportation route that you can remember?
There's so many of them, I don't know, I don't remember too many of them myself, I have forgotten. No, I don't remember.
Your neighbors in Gandhi, do you remember your neighbors, who they were?
No, I don't remember too much. I don't remember too much. I don't remember too much.
This tape is going to be heard by a new generation, future generation of Armenians. What can you tell these people that will listen to this tape? What message do you have for them?
If you want to be good Armenian, you have to be good American citizen first. If you're good American citizen, very easy to be good Armenian because we have a wonderful heritage. We have a beautiful history behind us. So, it isn't hard to do. You just put a little effort to be good American. That's all it takes.
Anything else?
That's all it is. Short and sweet.
That's enough.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Today we are sitting with Mr. Manuk Abdayan, who lives at 26 Putnam Street, Watertown, Massachusetts. Mr. Abdayan was born on December 9th, 1908 in the village of Damis, city of Sivas. Today's date is May 21st, 1980. The interviewer is Richard D. Abdayan. Tell me about what you remember about gummies. How many people it had, the different types of people, were they all Armenians, were there Turks, were there other people living in it? What do you remember about the population of the city?
Gomez is about 350 families. So two-thirds of Armenian, one-third Turks. Located on the river. Okay, on the river. What else now?
Tell me about your neighborhood that you lived in. Your house, your neighbors, your neighborhood.
We had a house built of stone. One-story big house, that was a warehouse. Inside the house there were balconies all around the house. All those balconies belonged to sons and grandsons and divided among them, you know. You know, the balcony around the house, so certain section was this son, that son, this son. We were 20 of them in the family. My grandfather's brother was the oldest person in the house. And then my father. And then my father was married, had 5 kids. And then my father had 2 sisters. They were married. 2 sisters. And 2 sisters and 2 brothers. We were 20 in the family, as I said.
What were their names?
I don't remember.
If you can remember them.
My grandfather's brother's name was Pizan.
Last name.
Pizan Abdayan. My grandfather's name was Bikram Abdayan. My father's name was Oscar. And her sister was, I don't know, see now, I don't remember the name of the sister. Martha was the oldest sister. I don't remember the others. And my grandfather's brother had sons, 2 sons and a daughter. I don't remember their names. So,
Who else lived in the house?
I told you we live in our house had 2 sections, one for winter dwelling, another one for summer dwelling. The summer dwelling was big, high building, 1-story building, as I said, with balconies all around it. Winter dwelling was same type of a building made out of stone, with the balconies around it, and animals used to live downstairs. We live on top of the animals to keep it warm.
How big was the house?
House was very big. I think about 200 feet by 175 or something like that. big house. And besides that, we had a guest house. Winter time, men used to gather around, play cards, or talk about politics, or different subjects come along. We had a guest house, they used to sit over there winter time. And shut up for a while.
Oh, leave it on.
We had to make a, you know, shut up for a while, shut up.
Well, it's enough. All right, what about your neighborhood?
Oh, we had a neighbor's house wasn't as big as our house was. Neighbor's house in Austin was made out of mud. My father was a blacksmith in the village, and they used to manufacture stoves, wood-burning stoves. My grandfather was a farmer. My father, and there's another thing we did as a farmer. My father went to some city nearby, I don't remember the name, and saw this separating wheat from hay. What do they call that?
Threshing machine.
Threshing machine. He copied that threshing machine, he came home. My grandfather's brother was a machinist. Him and my father tried to duplicate that machine. They duplicate the machine, they build it up, they used to rent to different neighbors that machine for nominal charge. And
How many houses, how many different families did you know in the neighborhood?
I mean, how many?
The different neighbors that you had?
Different neighbors, I don't remember too many neighbors we had. I don't know. We were one of the wealthy families in the village. I don't remember too many the neighbors. I was too young for that. And it was summertime. There wasn't much doing, making blacksmith shop was just the slow business. My father used to go out in the field farming.
How big is the farm?
Oh, we had wheat farm, mostly wheat farm, wheat. We used to plant quite a bit, I think. I don't know the measures. They used to supply all the food for our family all year round, 20 of us. We barley, that's what we grew up in. And we had a little bit of a vegetable garden near the river by, near the house. They used to supply a little vegetable too. Wheat, yeah, how much wheat we have? We used to be quite a bit of wheat we used to have.
Who was the head of the house?
Head of the house? Head of the house was my grandfather's third brother. He I don't remember him, he died. She comes from Constantinople. She was born in Constantinople. She was educated, she was the head of the house. She was the head of the house. She used to take care of business and other different things. Huh?
What was her name?
Mezaba we used to follow. I don't know her name.
What about your mother? What did your mother do?
My mother used to, winter time she used to make cloth, weaving cloth out of wool, that we get from our sheep. And summertime she used to go out and help in the farm. with the others. We had about, between 3 to 500 sheep. We used to take it out the country, way out into the mountain, summertime. They milk it, and then they make cheese, dairy products, different grades of cheese, butter, and we had about 3-4 cows. We didn't care much about the cows. They were male instead of female cows. You know.
Besides you, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Beside me, I had 2 brothers and two sisters. Beside me, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. One of my brothers still, he's in America, or he lives in Belmont. The others died.
What was her name?
Their name was Archel, was my sister's name. Rusan was my kid sister's name. Melky was the brother's name. Ike is the one lives here in America.
What did you do during the day?
Over there?
Yeah, when you were young. Did you go to school?
Yeah. When I used to go to school during the day, a few hours, during the winter season, and then we all went to school winter time. And summer, of course, school is closed. I don't know, I didn't do anything at this summer time.
What was school like?
One room school with a big pot battered stove in the middle, one teacher, all a bunch of kids. That's what it was, a bunch of kids.
What did they teach?
They teach Armenian, reading, writing, math, history, religion. They emphasize religion most, I think. That's all they teach in school.
Was the teacher a priest or was he a layman?
The teacher was a layman. Layman from different village or different city. He used to come over, teach us once at a time.
Does anything stand out in your mind that happened in school? Is there anything in particular? Any events?
I don't know, they used to, if you didn't learn your lesson too well, they used to be the heck out of them. I remember that, but
How long did you go to school there?
how long?
Yeah.
I was when I was 6 years old. I was going to school 1 year, I think.
What would happen if somebody got sick?
Somebody got sick in the village. We had a doctor. My mother's uncle was a good doctor. He was a surgeon doctor. He was graduated from hospital in Constantinople. Suprigis, they call him. Hospital in Constantinople. He came to the village. He was the only doctor around that vicinity. All about 50 or 60 villages. He used to live in our village. He's my uncle. My mother's uncle, I mean. He was a doctor. So, what else?
a child was born,
Yeah.
were there any certain customs that,
When child was born, I don't think doctor attended to that. But the midwife used to do it. Midwives, there were so many, quite a few midwives. They take care of that part.
what about the elderly? How would they take care?
I really, they could deteriorate and die, that's all. Oh, well, I take care of them, nothing special for them.
What did you do during the summertime or after school for enjoyment, entertainment, leisure time?
I myself sometimes used to play around with the other kids, like any other kid in any country. Play around, different games, chase each other, that's all. We didn't have no football or nothing like that, no balls, we didn't have any balls or bats to play baseball or football. Homemade toys, we play with them.
Do you remember any of the games that you played?
I don't know. I don't know. Like chasing each other. If you crisscross each other, you're out. If you tag,
What about vacations? Do you have any vacations? Did you constantly?
vacation what? I live in a vacation place anyway, we didn't go anywhere. I didn't go nowhere, nobody has on vacation. Summertime, that's the most busiest time in the year. Winter time, they just get around, play cards, that's all they do. Take care of the animals inside and play cards winter time. Summertime is the busiest season they get. They go out in the field, rip the wheat, harvest the wheat, thrash it.
Was there a church in the village?
Yeah, we had a church in the village.
Do you remember the name?
Submission, I think it was, I'm not sure. Submission. Mission. Every Sunday, everybody goes to church over there. I think my father, as far as I remember, used to be deacon in the church. Yeah, he was deacon in the church. And my great-grandfather was a Jamwood. He used to take care of the church.
What type of priests did you have?
Priests?
Yeah. Do you remember them? Do you remember anything that they try to teach you or tell you? Do you remember anything about the church services?
Oh, he wasn't very much educated priest. He just knows, he knew his religion. He'd say Mass every Sunday, go pray on the sick, bury the dead. So he has to do it, I guess. The priest over there isn't very educated anyway. They just know the Bible. That's necessary to be a priest.
What about Easter or Christmas, different customs? Take Christmas, for example. What would happen at Christmas time?
All Christmas time was our biggest season. I think everybody, Christmas time, all the kids in the house gather around and they sing, they dance, they get presents. Our presents used to be apple, pear, or something like that, you know. That's a very happy occasion for our people, Christmas time. Not Christmas time, New Year's. We call Christmas gone. We call New Year's. Christmas, we just go to church and pray. But New Year's is the time, I mean, not Christmas, New Year's time. We have a big feast that day, big table, 20 people around the table. They eat, drink, get married.
What about during Lent, during Mitzvah?
During Mitzvah Lent is very strict. We had a parade with 7 feathers around it, I remember, around the parade. Each week they take 1 feather out. That everybody, from the youngest to the oldest, they have to be strictly diet for the Lent.
What was the diet? Do you remember?
I don't remember that. No meat, no egg, no cheese, no dairy products, nothing like that. Just vegetables, non-dairy, fish, I think they could eat fish, no meat.
What about on Easter?
Easter was a good day too. Every little boy, little girl dressed up in their best. They go to church and they play eggs. They hit the egg each other and they get around, dance. Easter is a good tour.
Now what about, you're named after Kalsumanuk.
Yeah.
What would happen on that day, on Kalsumanuk, or any saint's day? How would you observe it? Do you remember?
Over there, I don't think they observe my name day, but we observe it right in here, we observe it. Over there, I was too young to be observed, you know. I don't remember any time we observed my Kalsumanuk day. My Kalsumanuk day was I'm in feast day in the church. We observe it in America. Like invite all my relatives, sons, and have a good feast. Get presents. That's all, besides Saturday.
But do you remember any saint's day observance of the day, like maybe one of your uncles, or father, grandfather? Do you remember any of that?
They observe everybody has the same name, their name. They all have some kind of the same name. They observe it. I don't know how they do it over there. I guess just like we do it over here. It won't be any different.
Do you remember any certain people in the town that stick out in your mind? Maybe,
I remember one wrestler used to be champ they used to call him. He used to be a great wrestler. His name was Hartwig, I think. I don't know his last name.
what about him? What can you remember about him?
He was a strong man. He was a tall, husky, big wrestler. That's what I remember about him.
Anyone else that you can remember in the village?
One man I remember, he was really feeble-minded. They used to make fun of him. I remember him, he used to go pinch different people and scare different people. I remember him to be very little, not too much.
Anyone else?
That's all I know. My relative, one of my relatives was a judge in a Turkish court. I don't remember him too much, but I heard about him so much. I know of him. He used to be judge in a circuit court nearby village. Yeah.
Do you remember any things from your childhood days, happy times, other than what you have mentioned now, or particularly sad times other than the massacre before that time?
Happy days. Well, I was very happy when I was a kid. Used to play around in the field. My grandfather used to take me to, threshing the wheat. There's a big, like a slab, big slab. It's got things, what kind of flintstones in the bottom, like a razor sharp flintstone underneath. They glue them with tar that goes round and round and round like that and cuts the hay from the wheat. My grandfather used to take me there and make me sit on it and had a ride. I remember that. That's all I remember when I was a kid.
Do you remember any of either your parents or your uncles or grandfather telling you stories about either other relatives?
Wait a minute, not too fast. You're going too well with the last come later.
This is in Gummies, I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
My grandmother, my mother's side, used to tell me a lot of stories. My mother's mother used to tell me a lot of stories about her husband, my grandfather.
Tell me about it.
English people had a silver mine in what's the name of the city? In shopping carts, yeah. In the city of shopping carts, English people had a silver mine. And my grandfather used to be the some sort of engineer over there. He used to work for them. After a while working for them, they thought he might be able to run all by himself and send him so much money to them every year. So they left the mine to him, silver mine, and the English concern went back to England. He ran for a while. And all the press was jealous of him because he was making so much money. He was getting too rich. They got jealous. And one day, one of the press started a rumor saying that the government going to pay their taxes to me. I'm a big shot. Nobody else going to collect tax but me. That rumor goes. Somebody goes over and tells the governor gets real mad about it and calls arrest my grandfather. Why are you talking like that against the government? My grandfather denies it. He didn't say anything like that. He didn't know anything about it. So he put my grandfather into jail. After a while, my grandfather escapes the jail and runs out, to the country. And then governor gets mad. He said, anybody captures him, so much reward for him. They were paying him so much money if anybody captures him or tell him whereabouts he is. So my grandfather goes over to the Hinchak group. There was some kind of a revolutionary group, joins with them, and he makes a group of his own. He wants to get his revenge from the governor. So one time, governor's wife and the governor was having a picnic a certain place near shopping carts. So my grandfather goes over there, gets hold of the governor, and says to me, You remember me? I'm Tateos. My grandfather's name was Tateos. I'm Tateos. Surprised, governor surprised, says, yes. You said this and this about me. Lies, all lies. Says, now we put your wife into the wagon. We send your wife to home. We have a little business with you. So they send his wife to home. I don't know what my grandfather made her some kind of a court over there. They had a trial. They find out the governor guilty, so they kill the governor. After killing the governor, his name became more and more belligerent, and they were hunting for him. They find they were going to cut his head off. But he went around for quite a while. He established law and order around Tateos shopping Tateos. He used to punish all the Turks that is bothering Armenians, that is not obeying the Turkish laws, taking the law in their own hands. So, that's all. So they got the army after him this time, my grandfather. They got the army after him. There were seven men in this group. They were, noontime, they were having a lunch. Our Turkish army surrounded them, surprised them, and they fought against them. They opened fire on the Turkish army. But after a while, their ammunition exhausted, their guns got hot. This was in winter time. So they couldn't do any more, they gave up. They gave up. They cut the head of my grandfather, put it on a post, and prayed around all Sivas, all my village, all around where we used to live. That's my grandfather. He made a history in Armenian books.
Do you remember what year that was?
I don't know. I don't know what year that was. I can tell you.
What about other stories that they told you?
Stories about I don't know any other stories.
Not just about relatives, but about folklore.
I don't know. I don't remember any stories now.
When somebody died in the village,
Yeah.
what happened?
When somebody dies, when somebody dies in the village, they keep them overnight, and priests from church, they carry him on their shoulders to the cemetery. Priest buries him. That's the end of it.
What about when someone was born? How was it celebrated?
Someone was born, they baptized in a week, I think. They baptized him. They come home, they have a good feast, dinner or something, and that was all of it.
What about a wedding? How would that be celebrated?
Or wedding. If you're a rich man, if you had some money, you have a big wedding. If you're poor, you only have 1 day wedding, one night or something, all over. But if you're rich, the wedding is celebrated usually 3 days. Dancing, drinking, eating, 3 days. You have a shindig.
Did you see any weddings over there?
I vaguely remember any of them. No, I don't know. I don't remember too many of them.
Were boys treated differently than the girls over there?
Over there, they usually like a boy because boys are not a help, not a hand. Help the farming, help whatever necessary to be done. The girls, they don't prefer girls too much. They prefer for boys better.
When did a boy become a man?
When a boy becomes a man, just as soon as he's able to plow the field or work hard, make his living, that's the time he's a man. I don't know any age or age limit or not, but I don't know.
How old were they when they got married? When people got married there?
Usually to get married, I think around 16, 17 years of age. For a boy.
What about a girl?
No. What, same or a little younger maybe.
Were they fixed up when they got married?
Fixed up?
Did someone arrange the marriage, or could anyone marry whoever they wanted?
Well,
Do you remember?
as far as I remember, they used to tell me about it. If they fall in love, they see each other, from a distance, they love them. They go home, tell their parents, I love such a girl, and they fix it up. Somebody goes over there, matchmaking like, making a match, and they get married. Engagement comes after, wasn't married.
How long were they engaged before they got married?
Oh, they weren't engaged too long. About 6 months, maybe 8 months, most is a year. And they get married. Married in a church. I think they have to have a life. Afterwards, they have to be verified from the government or something. I don't remember that part for what.
Who was in charge of the village? An Armenian, or was it a Turk?
As far as I remember, my time was Armenian fellow used to charge to the village. He was the, what do you call it? President? No. The Armenian fellow used to be charged to the village. Armenians and Turks get along very good in our village because they were neighbors. They liked each other. They didn't know trouble at all at that time.
You know the type of the government system in the village? Was there a mayor?
No.
Anything
Just
like
one man. One man runs everything. There wasn't, if we had any civil questions or anything like that, we go nearby village, Kochesar, had a judge and jury, they had a government over there, we go over there.
So you get along well with the Turks?
Yeah, we get along pretty good with the Turks, as far as I know. Neighbors before the massacre.
Do you remember any of the Turks in the village?
Yeah, I remember some. Oh. I remember some of it, but I don't know the names or the anything. Too young.
Were there any political organizations in the village?
That I don't know. There was, but I don't know. I was too young to involve in that. I was too young to involve.
the leader of the village made a decision, was it kept? Was it stuck to? People obey him?
I think they did, yes. I think he won't make a decision all by himself. I think they come some kind of agreement like we have warring here. Some kind of agreement or something like that, and then they obey him. I think they do.
Did the Turks have to obey him too?
Yeah, Turks have to obey him too.
Were there any prisons in the village?
Prison?
Prisons or any other government buildings in the village?
No. Turks didn't have any jami or church either. Turks didn't have anything up there. Just one Armenian church in the village.
Was there any problems as far as religion? Do you remember?
With the Turks? As far as I remember, there was nothing else. No.
What about any newspapers or anything like that?
All the newspapers used to come from either Constantinople, Istanbul, or Sivas. I don't know if any come from Sivas. We didn't have any newspaper in the village.
If you wanted to get the news, how would you get the news?
Somebody just came from Sivas, brought the news, or somebody saw somebody, heard it, or something like that. That's the only way, mouth to mouth. Contact, direct contact. There was no newspaper around. The news they get, maybe week old, month old, year old, who knows.
So the Turks did not play a role in the government in the village of Gummies.
No. They were a minority, they didn't have too much to say.
Were there any soldiers in the village? Any?
No. There were no government men or soldiers. Nothing. No soldiers, no policemen, no guards, nothing.
Well, if somebody broke the law, how would it be taken care of?
Somebody broke the law, they reported to the next village where they had a court. Next village, they come after them with the police, take them over there, and try them over there.
Would the local people try to take the matters into their own hands, like if there was a robbery or a murder or kidnapping or?
I don't know. Sometimes they do, I think. I think they did. Local people, if the thing gets pretty bad, the gendarme, the police from the next village where the court is will come over, saddle it or take him down, put him in jail.
No. Name all the people in your family that you remember in Sivas at the time.
My family?
Yeah, starting with your grandfather.
My
Who lived in
grandfather,
yours, their names. And
my grandfather's name was Vikram. My grandmother's name was Anna, I don't know, Anna I think it was. All the starter was Martha, Shushan, Yazgul, Bedros is the son, and my father Oscar. That's my grandfather. My family was my father Oscar, my mother Perzik, my older brother Melik, and I come next, Manu. My brother is Haik, next. My sister Armen, my younger sister was Lusanush. That's my family. And my grandfather's brother's family we live all together anyway. had two sons, Georg, Vahan. Susan was my grandfather's brother's name. His wife's name was Iskui. That's all. And they had another brother who died. His wife used to be the head man of the family. We used to call him Med Mama. I don't know her name. Med Mama. He had a daughter, Takui and Shushan. Two daughters, Takui and Shushan. That's my grandfather's older brother's wife. And then, that's what it was. That's the family.
So all your family lived in one house, there was no other?
All my family lived in my house. We used to hire a house summertime for helping with the wheat, with the chores we used to work for us. With the 2-3 farm hands. Just the summertime we used to hire them. And winter time my father used to hire help in the blacksmith shop.
Did your father or grandfather travel around the area at all to try to visit?
Yeah, my father used to go to Sivas about once a week or 2-3 times a month to buy material to make him stove or shoe horses, nails, shoes, different things, necessity, different equipment he used to go.
Did you ever go with him?
No, I was too small. I never went with him. My grandfather's brother was a good machinist. They used to buy different types of cold rolled steel from silver, I think they used to buy it. Or get it from my grandfather had another brother, I forgot to tell you. He used to live in Eskishire. He was a foreman in railroad engineer he was. He was a good engineer. He used to buy the equipment to making different things for my father's blacksmith shop and send it over to us. He used to live in Eskishire near Istanbul. That's my grandfather's brother. Older brother. Of course, they never lived with us because they were there, they were too far away.
Now, is there anything else you remember about the village, or the people in the village?
You know, we had one long street goes right through the village, and little side streets, 2-3 houses here, 2-3 houses there, side streets along it. Our village used to be on top of the hill, 2 hills side by side. We were right in the middle of two hills. And they used to tell me we had a place in our village, Jelomos, we used to call it Jelomos. I don't know, they said all the times Romans or Greeks used to live there. It's a big cave. Oh, about, I say, 200-300 feet deep, way down the bottom running water, and had a different compartments in that cave. All you could see the chisel marks. I remember a little bit. I don't remember too much of it, just a little bit. There's a fellow you ought to get hold of his Watan. Get hold of him. Tell his father. So, that was on top of the hill. Almost some historical connection with that, but I don't remember what it was.
Any other people or other places that you remember?
We used to have two chapels beside our church. One end of the village, way up top of the hill, and the other one bottom of the hill. If anybody, any traveler or anybody go by, they used to step in, say prayer, and go right along. We had two small chapels, with just a candle burning, made out of stone. A little bit of a building, like a telephone booth, a little bigger than telephone booth. I remember that. What else?
How big was the river you were talking about?
Oh, river is Alice, the name, Kuzulamak. It was a big river. That's where we used to get our water supply from. Drinking water, animals, the big river. Not far from our village. Or walking distance, 10 minutes or something. All the ladies early in the morning take their, what they call those, that jug, water jug, on their shoulder, whether on there bring water to cook or to drink water. All the young ladies go down to that every morning. And they do their wash in the river. Every week, once a week, all the certain group goes on and wash, the next group goes on and wash next day. They do their washing on the riverside. Build the fire, heat the water, do their washing. I remember that too. But
If you had to describe a typical day for yourself over there, from the time that you got up to the time you went to bed, what would it be like?
ordinary schoolboy child, like in this country, nothing. Just same thing. Not much different over there, over here. Not much different. Good 5, 6, 7 years old boy's life is, no matter where you go, about the same thing, I think.
What would you eat for meals?
They have a breakfast. They eat pretty heavy for breakfast over there. Pretty heavy. Breakfast, cheese, bread, and they have something like our pancakes they make. For 20 people, you get stacks and stacks of it. Everybody comes and grabs it, or sit down and eat it, like a pancake. We have that. Dinner time, they have a little light snack. Supper, they have it heavy. Supper, they have it heavy.
Everybody would eat together?
No. We have 2 tables, one for a man, one for a woman. Woman is separate than man. They don't eat together, I don't know why. Woman don't eat with men.
Can you tell me anything about any of the other members of your family or stories that you were told as a child about members of your family? You told me about your grandfather, Tanya Chagwish,
His wife.
his wife. What was her
His
name?
wife. His name was Santo. His wife was living in a house size of a 2-car garage, all by herself. My grandfather left one of his saddles made out of all silver. So my grandmother used to take a little bit at a time, take it to the city, sell it, come home and live with that, income with that. I used to sleep with her all the time because she was kind of scarce all by herself. My grandmother shut up for a while.
That's all right.
What else?
Do you remember anything else about her?
My grandmother, I don't know, well, I don't remember too much about her.
Okay. Any other members of your family that you haven't told me about? Anything else that you remember about them?
I told you my father was a blacksmith, working a blacksmith shop, and summertime he used to go out in the field, rip the field, the wheat with the other members of the family. Besides that, we used to hire two, three different men to work for us, rip the wheat. That's what we did, is wheat, mostly. We didn't have any vegetables or anything else but the wheat. We used to harvest the wheat, bring it to the different fields, trash it, and store it away for our own use. We didn't sell any of it. Only source of income we had was blacksmith shop, making stoves in the blacksmith. We used to sell stoves for different villages, different towns around the vicinity.
Did any member of your family serve in the military?
Yes, my father was soldier in Russian war, Russian-Turkish war. Well, the thing was so bad, my grandfather paid him what they call a bedel. In Turkish they call it bedel. With so many liras they had to pay, so he'd be excused from the service. So they paid the bedel. He was excused from the service for about 6-7 months. And then Bulgarian war, Turkish and Bulgar war started. I don't know what year it was. And they called my father again. This time my father didn't go. He went to Constantinople. My uncle was there before. He went to Constantinople.